Or maybe I'm just so anxious for Dragonflight.
That it makes you want to throw up.
Yeah.
It makes me want to throw up, but for different reasons.
Oh, no.
I'm kidding.
Right.
I'm kidding. That was a joke.
It's okay. I got it all, and that's going to be great to put at the beginning.
3, 2, 1.
Well, we got popcorn for Dragonflight. So
All right.
Awesome. And tears.
Well, okay. So, welcome back to another episode of World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft.
Okay, so you can tell we've had a week off.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Joe's not used to his.
Welcome back to another episode of Server Restart In. It's a World of Warcraft podcast hosted by three opinionated players. My name is Jim. I'm joined by Kristen.
Hello.
And Brian.
Mellow.
And I can't believe that just having
It's 3 days
like
before
a
Christmas.
week off would make me that rusty. It is the day after Thanksgiving, the American holiday, I guess, because we do have listeners overseas. So holidays are kind of over for about a month. We're a couple days out from the global launch of Dragonflight, and we're coming to the end of the second phase of the pre-patch, which saw the introduction of the Drakthir race class combo for Evokers. Their starting area, the Forgotten Reach or Forgotten Shores, something like that.
Furry Shores.
No. Scaly Shores.
The Scaly Shore.
Get it right. Also, the introduction of the new, one of the new dungeons, the Oldemon Legacy of Tyr, which has a little bit of story stuff baked into it, for why we're going there. And then the pre-patch events finally started. They were the Primal Storms. It was initially supposed to be 4 zones, but I guess they took Tyr's Fall Glade out either because it was a place that you could time change because of like the attack on Brill and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, maybe they took that out because nothing ever happened there. But
Nothing ever happens there.
When was that? Was that was the beginning of BFA, wasn't it? When they destroyed all that?
Yeah, it was the beginning of BFA because that's when the
stopped smoldering by now.
Yes, but I think because people could be phased based on whether they talked to the dragon or not, it was maybe too confusing for some people. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have.
It was annoying because I've been in old mode over there for a long time now, and I forgot that it was like completely burnt up and there was no more Brill and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah,
I was kind of pissed off that it was that way. So I'm like, oh, I don't like this. Go back to the old way.
Yeah. The anniversary is going on, the WoW anniversary that's coming to an end here soon, I think.
The WoW-versary.
Yes, the WoW anniversary. 2 days ago was 18 years from when WoW officially launched.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah, it's old enough to vote.
Wow, I've been playing this game. Holy crap.
Were you about to say WoW?
Yep.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
So I don't know. I played through the Drakthir starting area, and you start at level 58. You get to 60 before you leave, and it's not like making a Pandaren. You pick your faction at character creation.
Yeah.
So you don't make a choice, right?
Oh, you make a choice.
That's nice.
You make a choice, but you make it prior to.
Yeah.
But they split pandas, I think, off into both things too. So I think if you do it, it's kind of like you've already made. I don't know if that affects. I haven't leveled a panda in forever. And the last panda I leveled was a Death Knight, which negates all of those starting areas. So
yeah.
But that's aside.
Oh, that's true. If you choose a panda, do you have the option to go to Exile's Reach?
I think you do.
Do you?
Maybe that's why.
And I think.
Do you?
I think so. Yeah, I think everything other than Death Knights, Evokers, and
Wait, but did you say that you can change pandas? Can pick it at character creation?
I think so. I think that's when you do it now because of Exile's Reach. I don't know if they. I could be wrong. I haven't done a panda.
Now I feel like I need to make a panda.
Yeah.
Let me go make a panda.
We'll investigate that and we'll get back to you guys in a few minutes on that. You can wait with bated breath on the edge of your seat for the update on that.
I'm sure it'll be.
Kristen live getting ready to report on that. But yeah, so I played through it. I ran through the dungeon. I did the DPS. I wasn't really up for trying to heal on it, but it's an interesting class. It's not bad. It takes a little bit of getting used to. They have like those power up abilities where you would like push and hold and then release.
Mm-hmm.
But they also have an option that you can change. So it's a tap. You tap it to start and then tap it to end it, which I like.
Wait, so hold on. So let's make one thing clear. Have you completed it yet?
The starting area?
Have you completed Drakthir intro? All that stuff?
Yes.
Has Kristen?
No.
Yeah, I did it in beta.
You all the way through to where you came out to the city?
Yeah.
But you haven't seen all the cutscenes that they put in.
No, I have not.
Okay, so I created my character because I did spend a good 10 minutes and it pissed me off even more about customization. We can talk about that later. And I immediately logged off when it zoned in. So, well, I will admit, with all my woo-wooing about Drakthir, I'm actually pleasantly surprised at how customization can still kind of capture what my imagination would be in these types of scenarios, right?
Right.
Like I just don't picture the ooh-woo-ness. I don't picture that. When I picture these things, I picture like I said before, like dragon, whatever they're called, like in D&D, right? That's how I always pictured it.
Oh yeah, the Dragonborn.
Yeah. So like,
You're right.
But I think I captured it though, and I was happy because I was like, well, this is crazy because he doesn't have horns. He's got the fins. He's got all fins, and he's I think I went with white, I think, and then black armor. And it actually, in my opinion, worked out really well. So of course I didn't grab anything as far as a human form. I didn't grab anything crazy because I didn't want the too much makeup and all that shit. And I'm like, it's not interesting at that point to me.
Right.
But
I'm gonna stop you right there, Brian. I think we got some breaking news from Kristen live in the field regarding the Panda starting area. Kristen, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Play into it.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
What's the word on the street?
The word on the street is that yes, you can choose Horde or Alliance at the character customization screen.
Yeah, I figured with Exile Reach, that's probably why they did it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yes.
All right. You heard it here first, people. Probably been in the game for months, if not years, but you've heard it here first.
Well, how does that work though whenever you go into, if you don't choose Exile's Reach, because you choose it after you start, right?
You do.
How does that work?
I don't know. I didn't level. I just made it.
Who cares? Fucking pandas, and no one cares about pandas
anyway. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I never got the feel or the whole like, oh, this is like anime ooh like cutesy.
Oh, I know. I'm being like very whatever, ignorant, I guess you might say. It's not what I necessarily mean, you know what I mean? But it didn't grab me because of that. I don't like the skinny dragon lizard looking people. You know what I mean? I like the idea because lizardy looking people were always a thing in Ultima Online. They were a thing in EverQuest. Like they were very much a lot of these in these worlds.
The Seth
but they were
kind of like that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like all those things were like they had the I don't know what was in my mind as far as the immersion goes, right?
Right.
But my point was more so like I actually was very open up to it because the customization was so fucking deep. And now it's like that just feels bad because I want that level of customization for everything else now.
Well,
if you can really grasp that far of a spectrum with that, like that's very much new. I will say before I stop rambling that at that point, I wish they had a tank spec. I think they could have done really fucking well.
Yeah,
with a tank spec.
I agree. They could
And
have.
it makes me feel bad a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's because the last hero class was Demon Hunter, and Demon Hunter was just tank and damage. So they wanted to do a hero class that had heals because you make your lewd gestures to yourself. But like
they need to graduate from the idea that everything has to be fucking balanced out. If we could always use more tanks and healers, it doesn't matter, right? Like, and they're always going to add DPS, right?
The problem with that though, so the problem is there's always going to be tanks or healers that are preferred to the other ones. It's more a balancing issue.
Look at Brewmaster.
It's more.
Has anybody used Brewmaster in like the past 8 years?
Probably not. But you know what I mean? And that's why. Why make a class that people aren't going to play? It's a waste of time.
No, well, I mean, they would do a good job of it nowadays, right? Like, I don't think that there's always going to be a case where they fall behind.
Yeah.
And honestly, like Brewmaster, I never thought was like super interesting, right? The whole Jackie Chan drunk, whatever you call it,
Drunken Master. That was Legend of the Drunken Master.
Yeah. Well, whatever that little
drunken boxing.
Yeah. So that was interesting, but then like I think it's very niche in my opinion. So in this case, you're talking about a fucking dragon, right? Or dragonkin of some sort. That's pretty badass, right? And we already have like Warrior has like the dragon roar and all that stuff that would play really well into a tank spec for these things. And so like I don't know, like I think it would work out really, really, really well. And really like they're not losing anything if they had it, right? But it is kind of it is kind of sad that they
chose not to do that.
I think it'd be cool. As soon as I got in, I'm like, I really want to be a tank. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, a tank would have been cool and would have made sense. I think.
Well, you figure that they were part of an army that Neltharion created. He created them to be soldiers in his army to fight the Primalist, right? And
then they abandoned arms fighting.
Well,
they had halberds and stuff in the cinematic, and I'm like, but you can only heal and cast DPS or whatever, right?
No, my DPS uses a polearm.
Do they?
Yeah, they're magic based. They're not.
So
they're
like
not
battle mages.
Kind of, yeah. I mean that because like that's their. They're not because they're a medium ranged. They're a ranged, mail wearing caster. They don't have. I mean, sure, they have like the dragon swipe thing, but that's a ranged swipe. You know, they do have some. Like the tail swiping.
I should really play. I don't know why I'm bitching so much about stuff. I just need to play them. I didn't play them very much at all. I played a little bit in the beta, but after this, I just started my character, made Jim my human.
That's right.
Form.
He designed his freaking visage form.
That's right.
To
I
look
remember
like me.
that. Yes.
Drag Jim.
I know,
looks
it
damn
does.
close too.
It does. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Can
I just say, by the way, you guys need to update Grunt Wars.
Yeah, we need to fix our add-on.
No.
Yeah, your add-on's broken. It doesn't work.
It doesn't save the strings anymore. Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah.
I knew it was broke, and I haven't looked at it yet because I've been too busy farming transmogs, because that's what I did.
Doing everything else in life.
Well, I did the Drakthir. I did all the Storm. I got all 4 versions of the transmog from the vendor. I got all the weapons, and I have been farming the new dungeon to get all the transmog stuff out of it, even though it's probably still going to be in there when it launches.
Yeah, I don't know why you're doing that. They're not taking the dungeon out.
I know. It's something to do, right?
Like, they're not removing the dungeon.
Is it a regular dungeon or is it a
all the
max
one.
level dungeon?
It's you have to be 60, but it's normal only.
Okay. No, not right now. I'm not talking about right now.
Yeah, no,
It's gonna be
it'll
like-
be mythic. It'll be you'll be able to do on mythic. It has all the stuff in there for that.
Yeah, I know, but remember there's like 4 leveling dungeons, and then there's 4 that are max level dungeons.
I think this
And
is
they're all in the rotation for mythic, right?
no, only 4 dungeons are in the first season, plus 4 that are not from
Mythic
this
not
expansion.
Mythic Plus,
Mythic.
sorry.
Oh, yeah, they'll all have a mythic version. But I think this is probably a leveling one since it's in now. It's kind of like
Okay. Well, that's
BRD.
what I was worried about too. I only ran it once, and I'm like,
or Ubers.
shit, am I gonna miss out on stuff?
What was the one with Leroy Jenkins in it? Is that Ubers or Lower Blackrock? Whichever one they did for WAD, when they had the Iron Horde come in, they added a new dungeon in the pre-patch, and it's the one with the Leroy Jenkins. I think it's Lower Blackrock Spire, and that's the one where Leroy Jenkins happened in because they had the room with the whelps, and his dead bodies in there. You can res them and stuff like that, I think. Anyway, yeah, it's a dungeon like that. So
I saw Leroy Jenkins recently. Where was he at?
I don't know. Was there a Comic-Con or something?
No. What?
I-
in the game. He's somewhere else in the game.
He's in WAD. He's a Garrison follower, I believe. He might also be in Legion as a certain follower.
Where the hell did I see him at?
Or he's dead and you get him in Shadowlands, but I don't think he's dead.
Huh. I'll have to think back on that. I didn't play very much, but I did. There was a few hours I played the other day, but I thought I saw him. Maybe not. I don't know. I could be stroking out.
You could be.
Don't do that.
I know. A few days before release, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, no. So I feel that I had a pretty good time doing this stuff. The storm events are kind of because it's like
I
think-
thought they were perfect.
really
Yep.
because you can get in, get out.
Yep.
That is shocking.
Yep. I thought they were effing perfect. I thought it was just the perfect amount of I could go in, get the things that I wanted, and leave, and I didn't have to be forced to play the entire time. Yes.
That's
I
fair.
thought they were perfect.
I
Honestly.
think the fact that you need to get 4 pieces, one from each of the elements, to make the heirloom trinket.
Not worth it.
No, it actually wasn't that bad.
It's not
I
worth it.
farmed that. It's not. I don't think the heirloom trick is worth it, but I did it because,
It's a completion thing.
it was a completion thing. Even though I'm not a huge completionist, it was still I did it because I was like, I can do it.
My problem is I did it, right? But my problem is that A, heirlooms only go up to level 60, and B, I have every Death Knight at level 60.
The heirloom doesn't even go up to
And
level 60. It only
you
goes
have
up to 49.
You have to upgrade it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't at the base level, but you have to upgrade it like all the other ones. But all my Death Knights and I have every other class in Horde, all the other classes at 60. So I'm not going to have any opportunity to level because it was like 20 minutes on the Evoker and it went from 58 to 60 pretty damn quick, so it's not like you're going to use it there.
Yeah.
So it's just
I know.
like-
I bought. I upgraded my heirlooms just to be able to try to level quickly on some characters, and then I got to the point where I'm like, I'm not going to play these characters.
Yeah. Why am I leveling them?
So why am I doing this?
Yeah. That's
and
where
then
I am.
I got started on the warrior set, or the plate set rather. And it looks fucking terrible on undead, so I stopped because it looks so damn good on a human. And then I looked on mine, and it looks like the some goofy skeleton knight guy from some old PlayStation game. As soon as I saw it, I'm like,
yeah.
I can't unsee it.
Medieval.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I know exactly
I'm
what
like, I
game you're
can't-
talking about.
I can't fucking unsee it, so I'm not getting it anymore. Oh well.
What is up with that outfit?
I don't know.
Oh.
They're not the best looking ones, and like it's basically you're just farming a different coloration of something that's going to be in
Yeah.
in there.
Well,
right?
the plate did look good. The plate did look really good, but on a standard model, not.
Yeah,
Maybe I don't know. I should look at a torrent and stuff like that and see.
I mean,
it may look better on those, but
it's worth it to at least get it so you just have it, because maybe certain
yeah. See, that's true, but I've never been that.
right. But I mean, but like
person, so.
maybe sure on your undead the full set doesn't look good, but maybe parts of it will match something else, and you can make a baller
that's
set.
true.
You know what I mean?
I'll
It's like
out.
it's not like it's a one piece set, right? You can
Yeah.
do the individual pieces. So
Well, it was just the circumstances just kind of kept, because I was actually into it. I was enjoying it, going around and especially leveling those characters up quick. I'm like, oh, this is like, what was it, Legion?
Amazing. Yeah, the Legion Assaults.
Whenever that was crazy, right? We
Yeah.
leveled so many characters, but then
yeah.
I'm like, shit, I don't. They're going to be easy to level anyway. So if I ever wanted to, and I'm not going to, I know it. I just know it.
Yeah.
I got my backup characters if I ever want to change. So I'm like, no, I'm backing off.
I have them for
Jim has
crafting purposes.
50 backup Death Knights in case he needs them.
Oh, I didn't think about it, but if we got rep, if there's rep, it's a good way of making money, actually, isn't it?
Doing what? Leveling characters?
Well, not leveling the character. Well, not necessarily leveling them, but in the end, like in Shadowlands and then BFA, it was doing the
mission table stuff?
When you're at Exalted, and then you do the easy mode rep things, and then like about every week you get like 4K or so per character. So if you got 10 characters, it's a pretty good way to.
I mean, it's some
slow
income,
the
yeah.
decline.
It is what it
But
is.
I never did that anyway, so I don't know what I'm talking about. I just know that like it felt good to level up, and I was enjoying that quite a bit. But then I don't know, it just kind of fell off for me, and I'm like, well, I think I'm kind of done. I'm ready just for the expansion.
Oh,
so.
tell Brian about the fishing thing,
So
because
okay.
that was a game changer for me. I freed up an inventory slot.
So currently, and I don't know if this is for any other profession. I don't know if any other profession has technically profession gear or equipment yet. But if you open up your journal and open up your fishing journal, or you open up your professions, open up your fishing journal, in the upper right hand, there is a slot for a fishing pole. You can equip a fishing pole in there so that when you're fishing, it will use that item. It will.
Oh, that's cool.
You will get a buff. This is what, fishing for attention?
Yeah.
I think is the name of the buff.
Yeah.
And it shows it equips it.
Yeah.
It doesn't change your gear set on your character for your
Just shows
fighting gear,
Yeah.
but it puts it on. So like it's gonna work that way when you're crafting other gear or when you're doing other crafting and stuff like that. It'll put that on, but not like change your gear out, right?
Can you transmog fishing poles then?
I don't know if you
Yet?
can transmog it.
So all those ones that we had that we could sell that were really cool and you can't ever get again.
I have a crap ton of them, and I don't know that I've tried transmogging them because I like my underlight angler.
You would have to equip it normally and then try to transmog it, and I don't know if you can.
I worked really hard to get that fishing pole during Legion and to get it maxed, and it makes me sad that
You still can do it?
well, no, it makes me happy that you still can do it, but it makes me happy you can do it, but I don't think you still get all the benefit. You don't get all the benefits from.
Oh no, you don't get all the. It's just like all the other artifact weapons. It
But
still
it's
has
nice
some of them though.
because you can still water walk with it on.
And you can still turn into a fish.
And you can still turn into a fish.
Yes.
So it's nice because whenever I need a water walk, I'll just pop that on, flip into Kitty, and prowl across water if I don't want to
All you have to do is
anything.
all you have to do is just do a cast, and it will activate the buff, even if it doesn't. If the cast even if the cast doesn't land in water or if you can't fish there, it activates the buff. So
Right.
you should get the benefits of having it equipped. And it stays, I think, until you click it off or you do something else, because it's kind of weird because it equips it and puts it on your back or whatever, and you have, like, if you don't want to see it, you have to click it off. But it's it's a good thing that's looking like it's coming in. So that's going to be nice so that you can get and not have to worry about bag slots for crafting gear and equipment.
Well, what about the reagent bag? Like, I had no idea that was a thing.
I didn't either until the first pre-patch phase 1 dropped, because all the add-ons updated and all of a sudden there's a bag slot there. And then they took it away because it was causing problems, but then they put it back.
Okay.
They like before phase 2, I think they kind of disabled it. And then when phase 2 started and you could actually get one, because you can buy one for the essences, the primeval essences.
Yeah, well, that's what I got that in a toy.
Yeah,
and
me
I was
too.
done.
Yeah. I'm going to get the transmogs right now. I'm just messing around with between all my different characters, kind of messing around. Just because I've been slacky.
But yes, the reagent bag is nice because and reagents stack up to 1,000 now. They went from 200 to 1,000.
Wow,
that's good.
So yes, that's fantastic, because that means if you fill that reagent bag up, the one you can get right now, with just one item type, that's 20,000 of that.
That's crazy.
It is, but it's just it's gonna help conserve space. It would be nice if they had certain games have a key item inventory for like quest items that doesn't count towards your regular inventory.
Yes.
So like a quest item would go into like a key item inventory that's kind of just like a set
that
thing.
would be nice. Yes.
You know, and if that gets full, then it would overflow into your other thing. But it would be nice to have that, so that if you have to collect things, or if they give you an item to use something, you can still pick up the quest because it'll throw it in there rather than try to throw it in your bag and it goes, why can't I accept this quest? Oh, my inventory's full.
Yeah, something I do all the time.
Yes, I know.
Why can't I loot this? Oh, my inventory's full. Oh.
Wah, wah, wah.
Oh.
I did do a bunch of classic dungeon runs to get transmogs out of there. Today I did Ragefire Chasm, I did Wailing Caverns, and I did both Razorfen Down and Crawl. And I just ran them over and over again until I got every transmog that I could get on my death knight out of them. I'm like, I'm bored. I'm just going to do some.
Do you use a collection add-on at all?
I use Can I Mog It, which puts a little icon on the thing. So it even works in like the dungeon journal thing. It'll put like an orange X in the upper right-hand corner if you don't know it yet. And I think on the tooltip, it tells you whether you have it learned or if it's learned from a different source. So if something shares the same appearance, you know, you may not have it from that specific item, but you may have it from something else. You know, so you can decide whether or not to like equip a BOE if you want it from that item, or if you already have it, you know, sell it. You know what I mean? So I do that because it's helpful to know what I still need to get and which bosses. Because like I think in Crawl, I only had to go up to like the third boss at the end because he was the only one that had something that I needed and stuff like that. Thinking about dungeons, I just remembering just some of this shit. So the dungeon, the Ulaman dungeon, you can't. There's no like normal queue for it. You have to queue for it specifically if that's the only dungeon you want to do.
Yeah, that was weird.
It sucks. And it was fine in the beginning when people were doing it. It's fine if you're a tank or you're heals. If you're a DPS, it'll be like average wait time is 4 minutes. And like 2 hours later, you still haven't got a queue. Or you've gotten 2 queues and somebody didn't accept it. So it just dumped you back in. And it's just so goddamn annoying. But then, you get in. You get in. You get a dungeon group. All right, we're going through. And then you get the tank that's just like, I'm going to pull every pack up to the first boss. Okay, fine. Great, let's do that. Okay, you get to the third.
Were you healing?
Oh, hell no.
Were you healing?
No,
okay.
I haven't done any healing on it. And then you kill the first boss. It doesn't drop the trinket that he wants. Tank leaves. And then there was
no.
And then
Yeah, that's
somebody else leaves,
frustrating.
and then like and it falls apart. Then you get another group like 2 hours later. Finally, you get to the third boss. You get a ring. I already got this ring. The tank goes, do you need that ring? No, you can have it. Give it to the tank. Tank takes it, leaves. And I'm like, are you healer left? There was one dungeon where it was me, and it was funny because I was just sitting around, and another guy in the guild, I saw that he had queued too, and we ended up in the same dungeon, just queued separately because, whatever. So we were both on rogues, and we had a warrior tank or whatever. The healer and the DPS left, and we're just like, all right. So we just kind of pushed forward. When we died a bunch, but we ended up getting it done because that warrior, like, we would just take damage, and like Crimson Vial does just not give you enough health back. I didn't have enough way to like really like stay alive for super long. I mean, I'm burning all my cooldowns and stuff like that. But the dude was the tank was a tank, man. He shout out to him. He fucking just kept alive and didn't die, and we killed the boss. It took forever. We slogged through it and all that stuff, but we did it. And
did you just not get anybody to?
No, because it puts you back in the queue, but nobody comes in. And I don't know if it's bugged or what.
You know what they need to do? They need to do the thing like Final Fantasy did, where you can choose to join parties that are in queue or not, or join the party dungeons that are already.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't think you have the ability to
you can't
not
choose.
do that.
Yeah, no, you can't choose that.
Right.
Here, you just either join or don't.
It should just dump you in.
Yeah.
But then the problem is, if somebody comes in and they wanted something from the first boss, they're just going to drop anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But but I don't know if that would give them a deserter debuff or not.
I don't know.
I mean, but whatever. And then like today, you end up getting in a dungeon with somebody you used to raid with who's healing, and you're just like, oh, hey, ain't talked to you in a while. What's going on? And then you just blow through the fucking dungeon. You do a bunch of runs. It was just like, it's just, I don't know. It's hit or miss. And especially towards it's the end of the phase. It's getting ready to be the beginning of the launch is Monday. It's like 3 days away. And it's just like, nobody's really doing it like to just do it for the quest stuff anymore. Cause everybody did that like the first couple days or the first week or whatever. And it's just, I don't know. I like the dungeon, and it's helping me with classes that have changed significantly from.
Oh, I never thought about that. That's cool.
I'm like relearning the class because, like my druid's always been feral. Oh, they changed.
Well, we never really had like a new dungeon for like a pre-patch, right?
Yeah, we did. For WoD, it was the Lower Blackrock Spire.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yep, you're right.
We had that one. I think that's the only one that was like that. I don't think we had one for Legion. We didn't have one for BFA and all that stuff. It makes sense in the arc of the story stuff, and it introduces a couple new it introduces a new race or a sub race or whatever, because there's these like Rastari or something like that, and they're like sand cobras almost. They look like the Sethrak, but they're like dust colored, and stuff like that. They're in there. The Earthen are in there, which are basically stone dwarves, before the dwarves that suffered the curse of flesh and stuff like that, and became mortal. And then you get the Infinite Dragonflights at the end of the dungeon. And like the whole point is you're trying to get the discs of Norganon or whatever, or Tier, or I don't know, whichever discs that were in there, to try and find some data, because the aspects are like, we need to get our power back because our ancient enemies, the incarnate primals, are coming back, and like.
And we saved them on some CD-ROMs.
Not those incarnate primals.
But.
Incarnate.
But. Yeah, so when you do level your Dracthyr through the starting area, and you're going around to like the different like little hubs and stuff like that, you go do a little bit and you come back, pay attention to the skies, because you'll see a couple of dragons flying around. I don't know.
Okay.
Do you notice them?
Where?
When you level your Dracthyr. in this start. In this
I didn't notice.
So Rathian and Ebonhorn are flying around.
Oh yeah. Yes, I did.
Because they end up being the envoys for the different
Yes.
Horde and Alliance, right? Ebonhorn's for the Horde, and Rathion's like the envoy for the Alliance. So like when you get to the end of it, whichever faction you picked at the character creation, you go with them to go meet the leaders and all that stuff of your faction and all that stuff. So like they're flying around and you run into some stuff with them, and there's so much fucking lore in there. Did you watch the so I guess it was last Tuesday when the pre-patch phase 2 started. They had the launch trailer and they had the cinematic. Did you watch the cinematic?
The 2 riding?
Yes.
Yep.
I don't know if you watched it.
I don't think I did.
But maybe that's not what I'm thinking of. Maybe I'm thinking of The Last Legacy, the one where it talked about Neltharion having the Titan artifact that he was using to basically... Yeah, we talked about that already, didn't we? He was using it to control the Drakthir, almost kind of like you know, Bastila from Knights of the Old Republic had like the battle meditation Jedi power. Yeah, we talked about that. Never mind. The cinematic was amazing. It was really well done.
I'll have to watch it.
Yes, and it definitely, it starts off with 2 people dragon riding. You know, a Wildhammer dwarf and a Zandalari troll, and they're younger, and like they're having a good time, like flying around each other and stuff like that, like showing off to each other and trying to be better. So it kind of shows like a more like unified type thing between the Alliance and the Horde, you know, as far as like the younger generations maybe starting to throw off some of like the, you know, the bigotry and the hatred that's been around for a while, which is, you know, it's kind of a good thing and stuff like that. But
Bastards.
Yeah.
Ruining the whole game.
It's World of Warcraft, not World of Playcraft.
Oh man.
Oh, okay. So weird jump. I was thinking, and I was having all these weird ideas about stuff. So Shadowlands is almost over. We're never going to go back. Pretty much.
We're never going to go back.
And there are so many things that I don't believe have answers. First off,
weren't we talking about
you and I were talking about
yeah.
that, yes. So first off, and I said some stuff to Brian in Discord. First off, what the hell happened to Denathrius? He was put in the sword. They came and stole, and they distracted us, and they stole the sword back, and we never heard from him. He wasn't involved in the jailer's assault on Zareth Mortis. He wasn't in the last dungeon. Remornia wasn't there. Where's Denathrius?
I mean, they got to set up something somehow, right?
Yeah.
If any character of Shadowlands, I'm glad it's him that they might set up in the future.
And then the other thing is so the jailer was in control of the Maw. And I don't know, did they ever state, did the Maw always exist?
I think so.
Or did it?
Well,
Or
Right?
Or was it created as a jail for the jailer? When he decided that, oh, this isn't right, we need to redo things, and they locked him up and made him the jailer, is that when it was created?
No, I think it was already that way. It wasn't it something non-redeemable, whatever, blah blah blah.
Well,
But
that's
then
what
they
it's
sent
for.
him
It's
there.
for
That's what it's for now, but I don't know if it always existed as that. You know what I mean? It's like, did it?
I feel like they did cover that though, didn't they? But then again, who they put in charge now? Like,
Well, who was in charge of it to begin with? Well, the only reason it's the way it is now is because he was.
well, he was in charge of it to begin with. So no, it wouldn't have been him.
He was the arbiter. He sent.
Yeah, well, that's
people-
what I'm saying. The arbiter is the ones that's determining who goes where, and he was it. So it did exist before he went there,
Did it?
right?
I don't know if it did.
Wasn't that his whole point of like, damn it, I'm now confused. I thought that was the whole point of him like going crazy about like,
Maybe.
shit, Jim,
I
don't
guess
know.
maybe it did.
I thought that's what it was like him going nuts about people being judged and all kinds of weird. I don't remember. It's a fucking weird story.
It is. I don't know. It kind of just made me
I
wonder.
thought that's what it was, and then that's why like they wind up getting a hold of him and throwing him down there because he was going a wee bit insane or whatever the case was.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense at that point. It's basically their trash can, right? They just can't do anything with something, or he determines that, or some shit. I don't remember.
Yeah. I don't know. Their last chance is Revendreth, and then they get sent to the Maw. So,
But isn't that decided up front though? It's not like they start in Bastion and like, okay, well, you're not doing well here. You're gonna go over to Mount Dragon.
The most evil and prideful beings are given one last chance to atone for their sins in Revendreth, and if they fail or refuse to seek redemption, they're condemned to an eternity in the Maw. It says, and it says, still few souls that the Arbiter found completely irredeemable will be sent directly to the Maw. The Maw was sealed, so the landmass, blah, 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 pieced together. Yeah, the Maw was sealed and made inescapable with the magic of the heart of the forest, with the goal of banishing him there forever. So I guess it did exist. It just feels that, like, it obviously did not exist in the way it does now, because that was all created by him in a bid to try and control things and all that stuff. I'd
assume it probably, the way it was before was probably what it is like now, right? It's probably desolate. There's really no ruler type of thing, and they can keep tabs on it. Although it's kind of weird that it got as bad as it did and they couldn't keep tabs on it. I don't know.
Well, they sealed it so that it was inescapable. You could.
Oh, that's right, because of the runes. We were magical beings from another universe that were allowed to open it for whatever fucking reason. Wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, okay, no, I guess it does, because if those rune portals were there, that means it existed and it was created by the first ones. Because
so what I'm saying is like they had no like idea then or something, right?
The first ones had no idea about the jailer or any of that stuff. They made the keepers and all that stuff, and then the keepers banished Zolval to the Maw and sealed it so he couldn't get out. And I guess they still sent things to the Maw, even though it was sealed. So I don't know if they sealed it completely or if they just sealed the exit. But the power of the first ones supersedes their power, which is why, probably because of our association with the Heart of Azeroth and that kind of stuff, we have inside our characters imbued some extra power that resonates with it and allowed us to leave. But that's why nobody else could leave. We're the Maw Walker.
Maw Walker.
I don't know. I guess I thought I had something there. Huh.
No, you're fine. Well, I mean, that just speaks to like how kind of crazy it all was, and it's still hard to.
It's because it was never really defined. You know what I mean? It's like when
I'm the baddest thing ever, and you didn't know I existed. Just believe me.
If you build something with like hints and stuff like that spread out, especially when you start off with everything being in different covenants and different storylines and stuff like that, when you spread it out like that, it makes it hard to follow. And maybe there's going to be a compendium or something like that, or whatever the hell they call those chronicles. Maybe there'll be a chronicle that explains it all. But again, the chronicles are written from somebody else's point of view. That the fucking what are those people? The Tashavesh people, the brokers.
Yep.
The brokers just
they're written from. Wait, what?
The brokers made comments about the chronicles, saying, "Oh yeah, that's what you believe." And that's based on the perspective of who wrote that, indicating that the chronicles are written by somebody with a certain perspective on the way things are, and that's not necessarily the truth behind the way things were created and or happened.
Good Lord. Jim, can we just have a regular online game and just...
Well, yeah, we're going to go fight dragons and Primalist.
I do like fighting dragons.
Let's try.
Well, technically, I guess they're dragons, but they're still proto-dragons. You know, they're not part... The Primalist dragons that we're going to fight are dragons that rejected the gift of the Titans. So they never, I guess, evolved beyond like the proto-drake form, which is why Razageth looks like a proto-drake, but they still call her a dragon, which is weird to me. You know? But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I really hope there's a whole bunch of lore around all this stuff. There was a lot of like lore dump stuff in the beginning part of the Dracthyr stuff.
Was there?
Yeah, a pretty good amount. You know, it's just like them trying to figure out what's going on, them talking to Wrathion and Evanhorn and getting some information there. You know, when you come over and you listen to Evanhorn talk and they explain all the stuff about what happened to Neltharion, you know, and like they have a hard time accepting that he became Deathwing because he was their leader and that's all that they knew. They don't believe that he had Malygos lock them up and set blue dragons to watch over their crushes. And I mean, they've been fucking asleep for 20,000 years.
Okay, that's like half a while though.
Right.
It's I mean,
who hasn't slept for 10,000 or some
the Well
years,
of Eternity
right?
was 10,000 years ago, so twice as long as that. So it gets back into the time of. I feel that the Primalists are, and that's what makes this feel very much like the answer to Cataclysm. So, like Legion obviously was BC. Shadowlands was obviously like a Lich King mirror, you know, kind of continuation of this story. This feels like a continuation of Cataclysm. Just because Cataclysm dealt with the elemental forces
and the dragon element, their dragon aspects, and
yeah,
but
like in a different way. But it's bringing back to, because I guess in in Cataclysm we had the Firelands, and one of the incarnates pulls stuff from the Firelands and all that stuff. You know, it's like, so they're definitely in tune with the elementals. Which, if you think back to it, I guess the elementals were here first, then the Black Empire came and subdued them, and then the dragons fought back that or something like that. I'm rusty on old Warcraft history, but it was something like that.
Not canon. Nothing.
What did you... Oh.
It's not canon. Oh, it is, but it'd be like Disney and just throw out half of, not half, 95% of Star Wars. Might as well at this point.
A lot of the
in
stuff,
the perspective
though,
of WoW.
Well, I mean, but a lot of that stuff is in the Chronicles. I mean, I guess it makes sense, right?
Well, I mean, that's kind of what you're talking about, though. Like, it's really like a good way of them trying to trash some of the truth they were trying to tell. Now, like, what? Those things that started coming out, like, what, 6 years ago or so?
Yeah. Well, I think it was more of a way to kind of define from a certain perspective what they or how they think the universe works and all that stuff.
Right.
And like,
I mean, the reality is they didn't have to try to explain that at all, right? I mean, imagine you get your video game back in the 90s or whatever, and you read the instruction booklet that's got some lore in it and stuff, and, you know, I think it's okay, like, at that point, that those books just should have told, you know, what the hell was going on and why these confusing things should make sense to you while you're playing the game. And that be it. Like, it doesn't have to be some overcomplicated explanation, you know?
well,
like
it gets hard though when it goes on for so long. Because I mean, you got to go back to this goes all the way back to Warcraft, orcs versus humans, right? You know, and you know they did all that stuff, and it all ties into that. All that stuff exists in the history, so like they're just trying to find a way. Because I mean, Warcraft doesn't feel like it's going anywhere anytime soon, so they want to.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, but it's like trying to tie back like the Civil War in the United States because, you know, they're afraid of people forgetting the core of something that's relative to it. And it's like, that's just not the case. Let it be a statue of a history that has long passed, right? And just build on top of what's going on now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. WoW's always been really good about progressing, you know. Any idea of like trying to capture the core of some old lore, right? And it's based, even if it's based outside of, you know, Warcraft 3 or Warcraft 2 or whatever the case is, like, we're just well beyond that, right? There's no point anymore. It's okay to make it fresh now. Like, you got people still hooked.
Yeah, I think the problem with
they
it
should
is
take that perspective.
I just think the problem with that is like it's hard. It's like, where do you go? It's easier to like, even with this expansion, it's easier to draw back on stuff in the past. It's like, you know what? We've been
Well, that's just it. I guarantee you, most of that expansion is not going to be drawing so much on the past. It's kind of going to be like Shadowlands, drawing on one core kind of thing. You know what I mean? That helps the story be told, and that's it. I don't think it's going to be harnessing it to that full effect, because they've done this several times where they dug out some event historically to make a point, like Demon Hunters, for example, right? And Illidan and all that crap. But I think, though, like, if anything, you should look at more the fact that Dragonflight really doesn't look like a recent WoW expansion. It is more literally down to earth, in my opinion.
yes.
It doesn't advertise like it's some insane, you know what I mean? I complained about this a long time ago, but like even going to Legion and then going to Argus at the end of Legion, it's like, well, what the hell? Where do we go now? Right? Because Sargeras was the big badass. And I'm like, okay, well, we just locked him up and then we'll deal with it another time, maybe. And that's it. It's like, what the hell? That's such a long, deep storyline that we just sealed up in a patch, and that was it. And so, like, it doesn't really feel like Dragonflight is set up to go down that path. It seems like it's more set up to tell a new story in a fresh world that is not like Cataclysm was, where like they were trying to,
dude,
you know what I mean, bring people back to Azeroth at the same time. You know,
I hate to break it to you, they're going back to the old gods. That's gonna happen. That's happening.
No, and that makes sense. I think that's the one storyline that keeps the it's like the never ending, like, you just can't solve this problem, get over it. And I actually don't mind that. What I do mind is, like, it was kind of like the whole Arthas thing in Shadowlands. I didn't want Arthas to be a thing. Like, he was him as the Lich King in Wrath of the Lich King, and I don't want that to change. I don't want them to fuck up, you know,
I don't think they did.
Memory of those expansions. I don't think they did either. They did a good job, but that's what I was afraid of, though, right? Because it was a lot of it was just screaming Arthas.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, and they've been bad about it in the past. So, you know, you can't put it past them to
I mean, I think they
make a
did-
mistake. So
They had kind of explained where the power of Arthas came from, and they kind of
they did, but that was wrapped up in the disappointment of the jailer in general.
Yeah.
Because that was still disappointing, right? Like it was so mysterious and crazy, and like, oh, he's still a badass boss. You know what I mean? Even in that time, like I think it would have been totally fine if he had just died and that was it. Like he was defeated.
I do think that the way that they ended his story, though, right? It was that little wisp, that last bit of Arthas that was left, just snuffed out. He's gone, which means that we killed him, but there was still a little bit of him that was left that they were using to make the rune blade. Which is why we had the Lich King shadow stuff in the Arthas fight, or Anduin fight,
right?
Which is fine. I thought that was a good way to incorporate it into it.
No, it definitely was. But my biggest fear was like, okay, we're starting at Ice Crown. This is all like Lich King armor architecture. You know what I mean? It's screaming, Arthas everywhere. It's some weird ass redemption. It's kind of like Uther, right? Like Uther, the cool thing about Uther before was that he was mysterious. He was mysterious in the way that like he affected the story a little bit, right? Because of Arthas and then the playbacks to whatever, in somewhere. And then like he got this full storyline to talk about him and his life and all these things, and he became such a big ass character out of nowhere, and it just felt weird. So I don't know. I guess I could go on all day about shit like this, but
it's just like
I don't think they're going down that direction anymore. I think I really think that even the one thing that you're talking about earlier with them getting their powers back and stuff like that kind of bothers me, because I don't like what. Like it's gonna be really stupid if we just go like boot an old CD-ROM and like boom, they got their stuff back, right? Like I don't think it'll be that way, but it's like the case of. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't think that it's not gonna be equivalent of getting the actual boon from Tyr himself, right?
But they're trying to find power to help battle it. That's
right. They're trying to
gotcha.
gain back some semblance of the power that they gave up, so that they could, so that they can fight this. Because as currently as they are depowered, now, so maybe they'll get some of their power back, but they won't be immortal, right? Because they were immortal to begin with, because of the.
Well, they just need to channel the power of the Mall Walker.
Yeah, that's why we're here, and we'll do it.
We'll do it.
I did do some research because we were talking about the Dragon Soul, or the Demon Soul, or whatever as it was renamed, right? So I went down some rabbit holes, digging around, trying to find out what happened to it after Cataclysm.
Renamed? What do you mean renamed?
It was originally the Dragon Soul, and then when they took it and used it to try to open the portal, they renamed it the Demon Soul. The disc that Neltharion made.
Yeah, what was it called in Cataclysm?
Was it called? It was called the Demon Soul.
It was still Dragon Soul, wasn't it?
The raid was Dragon Soul, but I'm pretty sure the artifact was the Demon Soul. It's the same thing, right?
I don't remember the Demon Soul. Like
it's the same thing. It was called the Dragon Soul when Neltharion first created it and took their powers, and then was going to use it to take over the world during the War of the Ancients. And then he got beat by Crassus and all them, because Crassus didn't dump his power into it because he came back in time to help himself do it. And him and Ronan came back in time. And anyway, it got taken over and captured. And either Illidan brings it to Ashara, or somehow it falls in their hand. They're using it in the Well of Eternity to try and open a portal for Sargeras to come. And so that's when it gets renamed the Demon Soul. Well,
gotcha.
And that's why there's the Caverns of Time thing where we go to the Well of Eternity in that dungeon, and we, and all that stuff's going on, and we steal it to bring it to the future to fight Deathwing.
Jesus.
And so I'm like, well, what happens to it after that, right? Because Thrall uses it to just blow a hole in the back of Deathwing, and all that stuff, and then the aspects dump more power into it, so that we can defeat him when he's all mutated and shit like that. And I'm like, what the fuck happened to it after that? Oh, you know what they did with it? They just took it back and put it back in time.
Did they?
Yeah, that's what they did with it.
No, they
because
didn't.
they took it back to when they took it, because it eventually gets destroyed. It gets destroyed during because they
Blizzard
Night of the Day of the
should
Dragon.
never
Night of
have
the Dragon.
touched time ever.
Whenever-
Just leave time alone.
Yeah, whenever they rescued Alex Straza from the orcs, Day of the Dragon or whatever, it gets destroyed then. But it's funny because it disappeared, and Neltharion found he can't touch it, but he guided the orcs to it because they were using it to take over the red dragons to make their dragons for the dragon riders. You know, you get the dragon riders in like Warcraft or Warcraft 2 or whatever. That's like kind of like what that's happening there. But it's like at that point in time, because I think they took it from the War of the Ancients, and maybe it was more powerful. I don't know. It's all fucking weird time shit. They didn't say where. I don't remember where they got it from, but yeah. So it was basically a time heist. So Marvel poached that fucking idea with the Infinity Stones from World of Warcraft.
Man.
You know, WoW did it better or whatever. I don't know.
No, Loki did it the best, so
Loki.
they should take a page.
Yeah, Loki did a good job with their time stuff.
Yeah, they were about perfect with it. So,
But
oh man, stay out of time stuff. It's too weird. God.
well, I mean, we're dealing with the Infinite Dragonflight
It's not
now.
even weird. They screw it up. There's no point. Don't screw it up.
I don't
I'm
know.
just gonna screw it up. Don't do it.
Yeah, we're gonna
I'm
be
telling
probably dealing with it with Murazond and the Infinite Dragonflight and all that stuff kind of being around, because like the end boss of the Oldemon dungeon is a Chrono Lord, you know, and he's a dragon, an Infinite
Yeah.
Dragonflight thing. So we'll see. Well, I wonder if this is going to be the part in history where they're actually created, is during this expansion.
Oh, now see, that's kind of cool. I guess I should shut my mouth, maybe.
Well, I mean, but
I
that
don't
doesn't. But that's not changing the past, because it hasn't happened yet, right? These are enemies that we fight either in future instances or come back in time, and we have to fight, right? So they haven't been created yet. Like the Twilight Dragonflight, you know, that was created by Neltharion and all that, and his, you know, kids were doing all that weird shit during Cataclysm and whatnot, and that's a different thing. But the Infinite Dragonflight was always coming back in time to try and stop things, and that's why we had to go into didn't we fight them in the Culling of Strat? Weren't they there?
Yep,
Yeah,
they were in every one of them.
Yeah, so they've been.
Well, I guess that was Lich Games. They were in BC ones as well.
Yeah,
Black Morass and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, in Durnhold Keep or whatever.
Yeah, they were there too. I guess that's all they were, right?
Well, that's Caverns of Time, so that makes sense. You know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, you think about it, they're out there fucking around, but we don't know when they started. And I think this is it. I think we're gonna see the creation of this big, not big bad, but these fucking assholes that have been around trying to fuck with the timeline and all that stuff. So I don't know.
It would be nice to know that like the whole Bronze Dragonflight time walking bullshit is a lot more brittle than they make it seem in the story. I would like to see that, like, oh well, they fucked up actually, or something of that nature, because it's too like time is always like way too easy to you know what I mean? Like it's like Garrosh running through the portal from Mist to Draenor, right? Like
that was the
That's
Bronze
so annoying.
Dragonflight that did that. They fucking freed him and took him over there.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Time in general, Bronze Dragonflight, everything that has to do with time. I want it to look more brittle from the story perspective. Like it's out of control. And I get that Murazond is kind of really describing that, right? Like he goes insane at some point and he becomes Murazond, and now like, but the one that we have to deal with isn't there yet. But we got to try to figure it out, see if we can stop it. And it's like, okay, just slow the fuck down already. It's like, I do like time, you know, mind bending time thingies. You know, I love it. Absolutely. However, WoW has always done it in a way that seems like they can get away with telling those stories so easily. Like, oh, Draenor was a pocket dimension. Nothing else exists from that timeline. Okay, that's not fair, right? You can't. I mean, I know you can do that, but you shouldn't do that. It's too complicated of a topic to tell stories from. And now you've pulled on time and timelines so many times that you're screwing yourself up. So I would like to see the Bronze Dragonflight be a more like, we can't touch time because it just ruins everything or whatever the case is, right? Like if is it Nosdormu?
Nosdormu is bronze. Murazon's infinite.
Well, he becomes Murazon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so in that case, like maybe he slaps one of the Infinite Dragonflights, and then that changes everything, right? The butterfly effect. Like they should respect that more when they tell these stories. I don't know. Again, I could bitch about it all day, but that's like, I just don't like the loosey-goosiness of how they do Bronze Dragonflight and time-based things. I think it's really cool, the dungeons they got from them, but the stories they tell sometimes are just like, God, you can't just use that to try and dig up a story. It just shouldn't work that way. It should be like, well, if you mess with time, actually everybody will die or something, like something crazy. But I digress.
Yeah. I don't know. It's I'll be interested to see what they do with it and how they deal with it, and if they actually whatever, because it technically Murazon's status is officially deceased because we killed him in end time, because he exists outside of time.
One of them, though. It was one of them.
Murazon himself, like, there's not multiple versions of him. He is a potential future for Nosdormu, but that one, because of his powers and all that stuff, exists outside of time. And like, because they're talking about in Cataclysm when the end time stuff, Nosdormu sent 12 bronze dragons through the time ways, and no matter where they went, they always ended up at the hour of twilight. No matter where they went.
Oh.
And so we went there and kill him, right?
Yeah.
So at some point in time, we kill him, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't been hundreds of thousands of years that he's been around. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
It's weird because it's time shit, right? And time shit is weird. So, and speaking of time shit, it's a good time to go ahead and end the podcast. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Glad to be back. Check us out at facebook.com/server restarted. You just use a tweet at server_restart. And we'll go ahead and we'll catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. You wave hi to Jim. He's waving at you up there.